So is it as bad as you thought it was going to be, or is it not as bad as you thought it would be?
It's not as bad. I thought it was going to hurt more.
Yeah, well that's good. It's almost better to think it's going to be really bad, and then when it comes, it's not as bad as you thought. What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah. So, like I said, everything that you need to know is outlined in that sheet. But basically, you want to think about your tattoo like it's no wound, like it's a scratch, right? It's just like a scratch. And your body's going to react the same way as if you were to get a scratch. It's going to naturally try to create this little layer of blood or plasma to cover it and form a scab, right? And the whole trick with a tattoo is that if you can keep that blood off of there for the first day, you're going to find you get much less of a scab and you'll heal up a lot faster. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cover you up with just a layer of saran wrap, and I'm going to recommend you leave that on for about an hour, okay? Because the first hour after we do the tattoo is when you're most susceptible to getting something in it. After about an hour, you're going to find your body's going to start that natural healing process, and your pores are going to start to close up, and yeah, so you'll take off your wrap, and then once you take your wrap off, there'll probably be a little bit of blood in there, and you're going to want to get wet paper towel, clean hands, and just give it a, like, see how that little bit of blood builds up on there? So you're just going to give it a little wipe and get all of that extra blood off. And I'm sure right now it probably feels a lot like a sunburn.
Yeah.
And so that cool cloth will probably feel nice on there. So you'll take off your wrap, give it a little wipe, and then I'm going to recommend just a thin layer of Vaseline. Now I know there's all these different products available, like Tattoo Goo and all these different ones, and I've thought about carrying them and selling them. I just honestly think it's a rip-off. A thin layer of Vaseline is going to do exactly what you need it to. For the first couple of days, it's going to help to act as a protective barrier so that stuff doesn't just get in it. And then as your tattoo heals, just like a normal scab or a scratch, it's going to get dry and itchy, right? And that thin layer of Vaseline will help to relieve that itchiness. Now, the only catch about using Vaseline as an aftercare is that it is really, really thick. So when you put it on, just enough to make the skin shiny. Because if it's too thick, it's going to suffocate the tattoo. It's not going to get air, and it's not going to breathe and heal properly, right? So you'll take off your wrap, give it a wipe, thin layer of Vaseline, and then you're just going to want to let it breathe for the rest of the night. Let the air get to it, of course. Try not to rub it up against anything. Make sure your shirt's not rubbing on it, right? Let the air get to it and just kind of watch it. You know, again, see that little bit of blood just sort of builds up on there? You'll just give it another nice little wipe, get any of that extra blood off, and every time you give it a wipe, you'll put on another thin layer of Vaseline, okay? And then let it breathe for the rest of tonight, and then tomorrow morning you'll start to get sort of a dry layer of skin on there, and you'll be okay to have, you know, loose fitting clothes on it. Try not, no sleeves that are too tight, right? Like loose ones should be okay for the first few days. And then in 3-4 days, that's going to start to flake off, almost like a bad sunburn, where, you know, just you get that thin layer of skin that just kind of flakes away, right? So, and you're going to want to put Vaseline on probably 2-3 times a day. The first day, you're going to kind of do it a bit more because you're going to be wiping that blood off for the first day. But, like I said, by tomorrow, you'll get that dry layer of skin. And then I would just say do maybe once in the morning, once in the afternoon, maybe once before bed. I find girls tend to go crazy with Vaseline. Like, it's this delicate balance of you don't want it to be dry, but you don't want it to be wet all the time either, right? There's got to be that kind of happy medium so that it gets that air and can breathe and heal properly. As for showering and stuff, I'd say go ahead and shower as you normally would. A little bit of water is not going to hurt your tattoo at all. But be careful of anything with perfume in it. So shampoo, conditioner, body wash. With it being on your wrist, that'd be like dish soap too. It has conditioner and has perfume and will really irritate it. So try to be careful when you're in the shower. Just make sure none of that soap kind of runs over top of your tattoo. But a little bit of water will be fine. The other thing too is I like to, right before you jump in the shower, I'll put on a thicker layer of Vaseline, and then that way, if anything kind of accidentally runs over it in the shower, it's just going to run over the Vaseline instead of kind of getting into your tattoo. And of course, when you get out of the shower, make sure to pat dry so that you don't peel anything off with the towel when you're drying off. What else? Touch-ups are free forever, so just keep in touch with me and let me know how it heals up. If there's any spots, the wrist is tough because you tend to accidentally rub it on things all the time. So if any of the color doesn't stay just perfect, come back and see me and I'll fix it for you. Usually you want to wait about 2 weeks before you come in for touch-ups, because if you come in sooner than that, it tends to be quite tender. What else? Now, I know in the past people used to use things like polysporin on tattoos, and the catch about anything that's going to really heal your tattoo quickly is that it often has a tendency to pull the ink out. So try to just stick to Vaseline. You can get a lifetime supply for like $1. Now, that being said, you're going to be a little red and a little sore for 2, maybe 3 days.
Sorry, where's Phyllis's picture?
I have like 4 of them. Which one does she want?
The one she came in with, I guess.